What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Watchlist time, baby. Let's see what we got. Give me 2 secs. Get my stuff sorted here on my end, and then I will be right with ya. So a little review from Friday. Going into Friday from the watch list on Thursday, I was fairly hands off with basically two main ideas. I was still swinging NVTS and then looking at GoPro as a possible bounce and DFly as a possible bounce. GoPro did not, it didn't set up until later, midday. Right off the open was steady lows, never broke its opening range highs until later in the day. Um, so it wasn't a trade for me. I was long gone and off the desk by then. DFly, however, I did take this one. Wasn't anything crazy. Maybe a 1.5 hour trade. Was sized down. I wasn't full risk on that position as it wasn't really a plus. But we got the gap down, pull back into prior bar lows. I guess we have to use 5 minute here. Pull back into prior bar lows, and then looking for that rip red to green. And we got a couple minutes here right off the open. And then I started buying it into strength right through here. Sold it, flipped it for a few pennies into there. Rebought the dips, first low a day risk. Locked all of it up there into the high 41s. And then was looking for this 41 area to build. I bought small right here at 40 and then took it off here at 40 for break even. It ended up going a little bit higher, but definitely needed that 41 area to break and build. That did briefly, but didn't really have a ton of juice. Goal on this was 45 to 48, either these lows or this consolidation. So decent little pop, but again, I wasn't expecting much, so took the single on it, and that was it from Friday. Didn't place any other trades. Still holding NVTS until this higher low trend breaks, moving risk up each day. Want to see these wicks continue to get absorbed. If we get a gap down and this starts to fail 840s, 850s, I'll move on. But so far, looks like it's holding up. Higher lows, need to see those 920s, 950 break. Looks like it should be happening pretty soon. If it's going to have to pick a direction here within the next couple days. It's starting to get pretty tight between this 920 and mid 8s, and each day that it gets tighter and tighter, it's going to have to pick a direction. So still holding that one, but no high hopes until it starts getting over those mid to low 9s. Open. Some people talking about some trend joins on there. I was warning against it just because we didn't really get any pops and squeeze outs. And inside days and more consolidation is better to churn volume here at lower levels, create a new shareholder base before rolling over. Typically results in better unwinds for those backside moves. So it's either parabolics or wait for consolidation for the whole $0.50 breakdown. IXHL, decent little warnings there with that offering. Got smoked, but I wasn't convinced that it was completely dead, and gapped up and had a decent little day there on Friday. Not really getting ahead of itself, but still holding up. Hasn't gone away. GoPro, no real interest in that. It could bounce, but I doubt I'm going to take it. This is similar to... if it was setting up more ideally, this is similar to the close above VWAP entry that I had on open, where you can buy like this end of day consolidation versus prior day risk, and then add versus a weak open on a red to green move. Only difference being that open didn't close green on that day. It just had a strong close. So open did close green, which isn't the best, but on a gap up, maybe look for dips into these 140s. Could get into like a 180 shove, but again, it would be the same kind of thing as D-Fly. I'd give it one shot, smaller size. There's a bit of a trend change here. So we'll see. Opening range breaks for a 30, 40 cent kind of risk reward. So try to get in with like a 10 to 15 cent risk to get like a 2 or 3 to 1 trade, but not really high conviction. A few other names hitting scan here. Obviously, MCVT, if you guys were trading on Friday, started to get going. Was a gapper, faded off, went sideways throughout the whole morning, and then you get this one little volume pop that reclaims VWAP and just starts to roast shorts. So that's off to the races, up huge there in after hours. Don't really have an interest in trading it. Prior close there below 6, so it's opening up about 100% right now. But yeah, not a huge interest in trading it. Usually I'm looking for higher the gap, the more likely it is to have that overextended gap up, failed follow through. But given how thin this traded, and it was just shorts tripping over themselves on Friday, so not really interested in trying to fight that trend. ATNF, I don't want to go in as far as say as main watch because I'm not like gung-ho about this setup either. But has a history of big moves. Overhead resistance is pretty far away. So this breakout is definitely of interest. I want to let me zoom in. There we go. So if you recall over here was that T+1 setup that I had traded through those mid 2s. Got a nice squeeze. Then we start to get those wicks versus $2. And higher lows start to get bought right through here. All the way back from those initial lows, and then you get bought. Random squeeze out there in pre-market. But what I'm interested in is these market hours with the volume. And we came right back up into those 330s, 340s, tested it and faded off. Excuse me. So if this can continue to build 3+, I'd look for that 350 break. I think it could get some legs, and now we've got some range potential. Would be like 5 would be that target on a 350 break. First target would be 5, and then 6, and then anything beyond that is just gravy. But this breakout's definitely worth watch with volume coming back in. Could easily just fizzle out, but I'll be looking if it continues to hold over 3. Check out scan here, but I just don't think I had a bunch else. GoPro kind of back burner, ATNF if it breaks out, keeping tabs on MCVT. Open, not losing it off radar. No real plan at this point, but just don't want to lose it off radar. D-Fly's technically not dead either. Like, that is the backside bounce, and I don't marry ideas. But this could be a bounce back into resistance and rolls over, or if it starts to build back up like ATNF did. And if it starts to fade off, but if it pulls back the bounce higher low and then comes back, might be worth setting some price alerts up towards 60 cents. Other than that, I don't think I got much. Not excited for too much for you tomorrow. Gonna let everything develop and go from there. Yeah, don't hate the hands-off approach. I do think it's worth being a bit more specific in terms of what you say when wait for things to develop. Um, like I get what you mean. Like DeFi, for example, wait for something to develop, but just try to be a bit more specific, I think, where, like I said, this has pushed, pulled, and now it's either going to set a lower high versus this prior high, or it's going to set a higher low versus this prior low, and then either a breakout or a rollover. If this breaks out through those 60s, I'd like to have price alerts at 60 cents. If this starts to roll over, it's too cheap for a short, so just let it be. Kind of like open. Like, is this pulled back, bounced, and now it's set? Is it going to set a lower high versus 4 or a higher low versus 2? It's just within this range, so I don't have a pattern to play within a $2 range. But once it breaks out of that range, then I can make a plan for it. So yes, I know what you mean when you say wait for things to develop. We had a lot of percent gainers and big runners last week. So wait for them to develop and set up a pattern that you know what to do with. But I think it's worth just make sure you're being a bit more specific in what you're looking for it to develop with. Set some price alerts and have a plan for what you want to see. So when those things start hitting scan, you're more prepared and you can react quicker. Shall I treat third day surge the same setup as a multi-day breakout? I don't think so. Like a multi-day breakout, first one that comes to mind is Pony. Like this would be a multi-day breakout, and you can see how long its second leg is once it breaks through 11s, and it consolidates and flags for multiple days, runs from 11 to 20. Where ATNF is more of a third day surge, and you get that pullback liquidity trap, and this gets a move from 2 to 3, and then that's it. So the T+1 and the third day surge are one and of the same, and it's the liquidity trap. You're looking for that short cover, and it's an immediate pop. You want to see volume explode and lock into that squeeze. Sometimes you'll get one like a BMNR, I think, did it, like right here, where you get that pullback and then third day surge through those highs. And sometimes you'll get ones that run like this. But again, that was a one-day move, and then it was done. You had SBET that did the same thing, where you get this one-day move, gap up, and it's done. Or when you get those multi-day breakouts, it's like they're setting a new shareholder base at a higher consolidation level. And once it breaks through that, you typically get longer sustained secondary legs, where the third day surges, you're just looking for that short cover and squeeze. And then once that squeeze and cover comes in, the move is done. So you're kind of looking for the same thing in the short term. But in terms of how long, like the time frame of the move, I think multi-day breakouts last longer, just given the nature and how they set up, in my opinion. So yeah, GoPro, I'd take like small size, 1 hour risk, give it one attempt. NVTS, want to see prior day's lows continue to hold and ideally get through those mid-9s. And then ATNF, if that can break through those mid-3s. But that's all I've really got for watches. So, anything else you guys want to touch on quickly? I will give chat a minute to catch up. And but that's all I've really got to touch on. Bottle Rocket, a new face. I don't recognize that name. Good to see ya. Do you think AMOD has potential for a bounce? Not really for me. I don't like trying to bounce the backside on one-day failed spikers. So typically when I'm bouncing these first green days and backside bounces, the nature of the setup is you're bouncing it and selling back into bag holders. So it's a quicker, like a bang trade. Something like Open, for example, where it goes on a big run, pulls back for a couple days, and I'm looking to play this bounce day. Where AMOD has now pulled back, and everyone that's in this is longs, and they're stuck underwater. So for me, I've seen enough of these one-day filled spikers. If they don't go on a front side move, the bounces in them are so muted if they ever even have one. So typically I lean towards looking to short a bounce into that prior day's resistance. Like if this were to get up towards like $2 into the day one VWAP or something like that, then like a straight up spike into 2, I would be much more likely to short than if I were to just buy a week open and try to bounce it. The odds are so stacked against you with that pattern as it is. And with these one-day filled spikers, statistically, they fail more times than not. So the only real pattern I have on those spikers is a gap short into resistance. You betcha. Stuff and such. So yeah, sounds good, guys. I will wrap it up there, and I will see some of you in IU in the morning, and the rest of you on the next watch list. So take it easy, guys. Don't force anything. Get in where you fit in, and make some memories. Take it easy. Peace.